Welcome to the Harmony Ball Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the Sunshine District Labor Day Jamboree. It's going to be pretty chill. Labor Day weekend in Orlando, Florida. Stay in a hotel, see your friends, do some pool singing, maybe play some golfing sport, and then enjoy friendly Barbershop Quartet Society entertainment in the evening. More info at labordayjamboree.com. My guest on this episode is Melody Hine. Melody sings baritone in Hot Pursuit, the 2018 Sweet Antline's International Rising Star Champion. Melody is also the recipient of the 2020 SAI National Association for Music Education Award. She's a badass teacher and a heck of a 4-part harmony vocal chart arranger. In our conversation, Melody talks about what's new with Hot Pursuit. They are getting geared up for summer concerts, and then we nerd out a bunch, basically. And then we dance around some controversial topics toward the end, and I don't do my best listening. I do more of an extended devil's advocate couched in empathy defense, but I should probably journal more. Anyway, all in all, it's a great chat. We have a wonderful conversation, and here we go. Melody Hine, welcome to the Harmony Ball Podcast.
Wow, hello.
Hi. So how are you? What's going on? So summer's here. Barbershop is still on hold for the convention cycle of this summer, but we are going to be back at it soon enough. Or maybe not enough, but it's coming back is what I mean.
Soon-ish.
Soon-ish.
Relative to this past year, it's definitely soon, I would say.
I can't wait. I love singing music.
Yeah, Hot Pursuit actually had our first back together rehearsal a couple of weeks ago, which is cool because now Tessa and Condra and I all live in freaking Maryland, so we just flew Michaela up and had her here for a weekend, and it was amazing.
Oh, you're all Northeasters now.
Yeah, finally.
Cool. So you're so close you can rehearse more often.
Yeah, hopefully. At least we'll rehearse the same amount, but it'll be cheaper than it was before.
And you're all going to be at the Labor Day thing.
Yeah, we're singing on the Saturday night show? Yeah, Saturday night show.
Sweet. Can you tell us
what
what
your
set list is going to be like?
We don't know, but it will be new things. Actually, one of the things that is new is the song that we recorded for the Westminster show.
Oh, okay, right on. Nice, okay. Exciting. Westminster show going to be broadcast for everybody who's listening to this. We got to do the plug. Westminster's super awesome summer show will be broadcast on the Saturday Night Spectacular from the Barbershop Harmony Society. And you should check that out because it's going to be awesome. And Hot Pursuit's going to be on it.
Hot Pursuit's going to be on it. I'm told we were the only live video, which is cool because we didn't think we were going to be able to record it live. And we hate doing the Zoom recording thing, so it was very cool to get to record all of our stuff. Yes.
It's so bad.
Yes.
But we're moving past that. And another thing to say about the Westminster Summer Show coming up next month on the Barbershop Harmony Society International Virtual Contest and Convention is a chart that you arranged. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, yeah. I was like, what's the end of your sentence? I don't know.
It's all about you. This is your show. It's all about me making you look good if I can. Please.
Wow.
I mean, you're easy to make look good because you're a prolific arranger, and this chart that you did for this chorus is great. I loved singing it. It was so much fun. The scat part is like...
Oh, yeah. I love that part.
But tell me about that chart, please.
Yeah, so, it was the Justin idea as far as I know for the actual song. That song is funny to me because of, being brought up just listening to Barbershop and, acapella stuff. That's one of those songs that I heard acapella before I heard the original. So, the original song, or the original version that my brain heard of that song is the Cadence version, not the Blood, Sweat, and Tears version. So, yeah, anyway, I now know it because I'm an adult, but but it was really cool to get to arrange that because I already was like, oh, well, there's an acapella version of this that's pretty dope, and we can use some of that, and we can use some of the some other things from the original recording that weren't in the cadence arrangement, and then also some other stuff that makes more sense for Westminster. So I was very psyched to get to put that together, and it's just a fun song, so it's super fun to arrange.
Isn't that so cool when you learn about really popular songs through barbershop or a cappella?
I I would like to say yes, it's cool, but that happens to me a lot. That I go, oh, there's a version of that song that existed before barbershop. I'm just an idiot. So I that's been my whole life. So I don't know if it's something that I love, but
No, it's super cool
it is
because
funny.
like you get it's like an oral tradition of being told like a fairy tale, and then like later you see the Disney version and you're like, oh, I guess there's like a big production version of this thing that like the lullaby that my parents told me when I was 3. Like, wow, it's even bigger
That's
than
true.
that. I'm into the I'm into the small group of special experiences. I think those are magical, and I like yourself have experienced a lot of very popular tunes through barbershop, and a lot of them through keepsake. I would say,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I definitely heard like Mona Lisa and a bunch of others like through barbershop before I ever heard the original versions of those kinds of things.
It's neat. It's neat moving music around through cultures. It's great. I like, especially as a piano bar player, because like you get to breathe your own magic into a piece of music with an audience, but it's like it's more intimate, like it's smaller scale than like a big production
That's
or like a
true.
television
You're
show or
kind
movie.
of arranging on the spot like every night to the group doing that kind of a thing.
Heck yes. Oh, I love that stuff.
That's very cool.
Dueling pianos is dope. Are you excited about going to see that show? Have you seen this? Just quickly for our listeners, before we jumped on this interview, we were talking about Melody's plans for this evening to go see
Summer
some
life
dueling
plans.
piano music, which I'm hoping that barbershoppers can get more into, because it's, I think, a pretty cool crossover to sit around a piano and sing music for fun in addition to rehearsing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I've been to a dueling pianos thing that was in somewhere in Atlanta like several years ago with like a high school alumni, like chorus alumni group or something like that. And it was incredible, and then it closed down like within the year, so I never got to go back. I've been trying to follow all the stuff that's happening in that's about to happen in Frederick, because I didn't really used to do that in Atlanta, and I want to do more stuff that's in my actual city now. So one of those things that popped up was dueling freaking pianos in the Carroll Creek Park Amphitheater, which is just right in downtown Frederick, and it's an amphitheater that I have walked past over and over again because Carroll Creek Park is super beautiful, and I'm really excited to get to see what it's like when there's actual stuff happening and we're not dying in this panorama, hopefully, anymore.
Oh God, La Pandemia, the worst.
La Pandemia, the
Oh
Panini, the
gosh.
Panasonic.
That's super cool. I'm glad you're going to dueling pianos, because
Yeah.
piano entertainment is sweet and super
Yeah!
fun. And yeah, I miss doing that professionally. Guests like yourself are like my favorite. Like you would be like my ideal piano bar patron. You're like a music educator who's really fun, high energy, like very social, but also kind of awkward, introverted, and also makes music, but like appreciates music and can like point out, oh, you're arranging on the fly. So like, that's you're like the perfect audience.
You just picked a very specific type of person to be your favorite audience member, but I love
Okay,
it.
all right. So truth be told, I love everyone in the audience,
That's
but I love
hysterical.
them for different reasons. I love music nerds for certain reasons. And
Yeah.
then the sweet dum dums who just want to hear Sweet Caroline, I love them too. I've decided to love them all.
Oh, we love a good dum dum who wants to hear Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, of course. Hey, let's talk about cool old vocal music like from the 40s, like the Andrew Sisters and the Ditting Sisters and all that type of
Oh
stuff
my
that I know
god.
we both really, really love, because we talked about loving the high-lows early in our friendship, and we should really reminisce about that kind of stuff, because I know our listeners also like that kind of nerdy, popular harmony music, and we should talk about your influences in that regard.
Yeah, I my parents used to play. I mean, my parents played a ton of stuff around the house, like when I was growing up, but definitely a ton of like Four Freshmen and High-Lows and Andrews Sisters, McGuire Sisters, all that kind of stuff was like we would jump in the car and Dad would put on like a 40s hits station, and that was just our lives. I actually didn't realize that was like not really common until like later on in my life. But some of my favorite kinds of arranging to do are things that are like Andrew Sisters or Andrew Sisters adjacent, at least. I think I just did, maybe it was a few months ago at this point, a couple for the quartet singing double. It was I Can Dream, Can't I, which was very challenging since there's obviously a really well-known barbershop arrangement of it, but they wanted a more Andrew Sisters-y version, which was cool. There was one other. I'm not gonna remember what it is, but those are my favorite types of charts to arrange, when it's just right there for you. It's already barbershop. You just gotta kind of put your own style on it.
Isn't that so great, parents in the audience, when you like trick your kids into thinking that like it's normal to get in the car and listen to music, like sing to it? That must be one of the best parts about having children, where you're just like,
That's
yes,
gotta
this
be.
is a normal thing that everybody does, and they're like,
everyone
totally buying
is listening
it.
to this. Yeah, I know, big time. Because like they also played a lot of like classic rock type stuff, or 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all that type stuff, and like that's not really what other people in my school were listening to at that time, and I was always very confused by that.
Talk to me about having your very nerdy barbershop father be a big influence on your like social life as a kid, because you must have gone to conventions all the time.
Yeah, I definitely remember Fred. There was definitely a time period, like I think in high school, maybe like freshman or sophomore year, when Fred was just having a bunch of shows. So Canaan was, I guess, somewhere, but Mom and I specifically remember went to like 3 show weekends in a few different cities, like back to back to back at one point, and like had Fred's set like completely memorized. But then we talked about how much fun it is to just like listen to other people get to experience it like for the first time. So like, even though we had the whole thing memorized, we were still just cracking up the entire time at like the different places that the audience would laugh and all that stuff. And we did that a lot. We were definitely hanging out with Dad and hanging out with Fred, and that was around the time I like joined a Song of Atlanta, so it was just hanging out with barbershop people a lot. And at one point I was like, I just want to go to barbershop stuff all the time. I don't want to hang out with people who are 14 and 15 and 16, and that was a problem. But definitely my parents and my brother were like a huge part of my like high school life. I mean, all my friends were like, "Here, I hate my parents," and I was like, I hang out with my parents every day.
That's so cool. Music does that. Music lets that happen.
That's true.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Yeah, and if you're gonna hang out with the quartet, hanging out with Fred would be a super cool hang. Did I share with you that the first record, CD, album, whatever I ever purchased that was barbershop was the Fred Anthology?
I think you did share that with me, and I'm still so sorry for you.
Yeah, I think a little personal history here. I think in my high school quartet, our baritone was like, "You've got to listen to this Fred quartet," and we like listened to it. And
Oh my
I was
God.
like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'll buy this. Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of my introduction to barbershop, and I was speaking with another guest on this show, Kari Francis, about like collective memory of the Barbershop Harmony Society, and there's probably no better example of like crafting in jokes than Fred.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
It's all about the in-jokes. So much of the humor is based on the in-jokes. I mean, there's the slapstick stuff, too. Let's get into the humor. Let's
Yeah.
dissect this humor. How does the comedy of Fred work? Can you tell me?
Well, okay, so that's very funny because I have some like particular snippets about it that my dad and I have talked about. They used to like, Rick would have a stupid idea and then would start to kind of put it together, and then Dad would like arrange it from his brain, basically. And Rick really liked like songs where you could like list stuff easily, which is how you get like 60 festival and like all those types of things. top 10 parody. He liked stuff where you could list things because it was easy to turn into some kind of weird parody. So that was like a big part of it, is just Rick having an idea and then Dad trying to put it together musically from his brain. But they also had this, like, the Fred mentality of trying to get a joke to land was like, if you can get 10 people in the audience to laugh at it, the other people around them just will laugh at it because they want to feel like they're in on the joke, whether or not they actually understood what was going on. So their goal was make 10 people laugh so that it spreads to everybody else, and then you get a big laugh.
Oh, that sounds like a very clever strategy and a nice example of the Pareto principle. Yeah, I love numbers too. That's a really cool tactic for getting an audience on board because, to Fred's credit, that's a great strategy because numbers and countdowns and things that are like easily anticipatable by a large audience are like a great primer for payoff, and then they can laugh at the payoff.
Yeah.
I dig it. What else made Fred funny?
One of my favorite things about Fred is how each of them has like a specific kind of personality on stage, and I think that's what made them like really effective. I'm not a comedy expert. This is just what I feel, but like, cause Jared was just supposed to be an idiot and like make all of them laugh, and he was like the weird guy or like the stupid one or whatever. He was the butt of all the jokes, and then like Rick and Joe, depending on the moment, could each kind of be like the straight guy. Like their faces were mostly not supposed to change. Even Rick, who was like pretty much always delivering the joke, like if you watch him in most of the delivery, like his face is pretty neutral, but in like a really sarcastic kind of a way. I don't know, it's very specific in the way that he was able to do that. And then Dad's just kind of over there being like the awkward tall guy on the end, and he kind of does play into that character. Like he's the tall nerd on the end, and for whatever reason those kinds of personalities like went really well together, and I guess them just being able to like be themselves on stage was just kind of adds to the like authenticity of their comedy. And there are other groups that aren't as successful because they're just not as authentic. They're just trying to be funny, and Fred never had to try to be funny.
Dig it. Do you find that authenticity and humor really help you in your teaching?
Yes.
I've seen some TikTok videos that you've produced. They're pretty authentic and funny.
It's very funny because I actually talked to Vince Sanjoni a little bit about this because I a couple years ago when I was like, wow, I have to move to Maryland, went to go observe one of his classes just like for fun, because that's what I think is fun, over my spring break. And first of all, we were like, well, we're very similar teachers. That's hilarious. We talk the same way. We interact with the kids the same way. But like as teachers, we both like are very much ourselves, just like in a school appropriate fashion. Like we just kind of take the cursing out for the most part. But like we're ourselves, and we treat the kids like they're people, like we're just talking to other people. And I think that does help with buy-in from your students a lot if you just are you. Actually, I was mentioning to we had a guy at my school this year who was basically doing his student teaching this very last semester, which is kind of crazy and ridiculous because it was basically all virtual until the end. And like he was having to do his final student teaching, like the end of his degree, all via Zoom. And I don't know, he and a couple of the other music teachers and I were having a discussion where he was describing like some trouble he had during a class period and how to get past it. And we were kind of like, well, some of those situations you just have to try it out, because what's going to work for one teacher isn't necessarily going to work for you, because being a teacher is so much like figuring out how you're able to use your personality to effectively teach and relate to the students in a classroom. And that is a thing you have to figure out. You don't just copy paste somebody else's like strategies on day one. You have to try some stuff that doesn't work, and then 2 or 3 years later maybe you've kind of figured it out. But I don't know, I think that kind of thing is fun, because once you figure it out, then you're just you. It would suck to not be able to be you in your job in front of the kids. I don't think they like that. So I think I think it's a cool aspect of teaching.
They have a very strong BS detector, don't they?
Oh, they do.
That's like one of the best parts about being around kids, right?
Oh yeah, they know.
Yeah. That's rad.
Yeah, they know. Kids are smart.
They know. They are smart. That's cool. You have a respect for them. They must appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I love my kids so much. I was worried going into this year because at the last school I was at when I first joined, the teacher also left kind of unexpectedly, and the 8th graders were not happy about that. And like did not like me like immediately, and I was like, oh, same thing's probably going to happen this year. But all of my students this year were incredible, and I just love them so much.
How was the virtual concert? The fundraiser concert.
Oh, the fundraiser, it was awesome. I don't remember how many people were watching it, but we had a good group of like administrators and teachers from the school that were watching, that were in the comment section, which was very cool. One of my 8th graders, like I said, because they're really great, one of my 8th graders was in there in the comment section being really supportive, and we ended up raising, I forget what the exact amount was. It was over $3,000 though for NAMI, which was great because initially I set our goal at like 1,000. Thanks. Yeah, I was psyched. I had no idea what we were gonna be able to do. Yeah,
That's
my
awesome.
students were really excited too. I just was very much like, y'all, we literally like the 10-ish of us didn't even like leave our homes. We just like use social media and like talk to people, and like even to create the like t-shirts portion, we didn't leave. We just did all of that stuff online, and I mean including the t-shirts, we raised like $3,900 and we didn't go anywhere. Like, that's crazy.
Good job. Way to be.
Thanks. Yeah, we're very excited.
Wonderful. I have my t-shirt. I was going to wear it to impress you, but I spilled something on it while I was camping, and it looks a little bit more...
I have truly never been more impressed.
Okay. Thank you for the t-shirt, and I'm in awe of your authenticity to your students on TikTok, because that's, being an old person now, that's like one of my only views into like young people on TikTok. It's like, oh, this is a way to communicate to them if you're a teacher. Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I have a couple of like past students, I guess, from my previous school that follow my like personal TikTok account. But if one of my current students found, like, it's fine if they followed the like the RCMS NAMI benefit concert one, because like I'm just talking about mental illness and stuff like that. But like, if I have a student accidentally stumble upon my like personal TikTok account, I'm like, hello, I have to block you until you graduate high school. I love you.
Yeah, I think this is why virtual currencies are eventually going to have to make their way into boundaries around social medias, because this problem that you're describing is like the privacy of like your personal and your professional life, especially as it interfaces with children or maybe like a more junior audience. It's going to be very important to have those boundaries just like naturally in place, because you don't want to enforce them. It's too hard. It's too much too.
Yeah, definitely. That's like a portion of the like code of ethics, no matter what county you're in, is like keep your personal social media separate. If you need to make like a school chorus Instagram account, then like go for it, because that's useful and works really well, and you can get some information to the kids out into the community and stuff like that. But like keep your personal account separate until there's no possibility that you would teach one of them again.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Hey, talk to me about the Rising Star contest.
Yeah, well,
because last time, I'm sorry to cut you off. For our listeners, we did this podcast earlier, and Melody did a great job of describing how awesome her experience was. And then I like had technical difficulties with the computer, but now I'm going to ask you to do it again. Please tell me again.
I would love to talk about Rising Star again. Okay. So those listeners who maybe don't know, Rising Star is the young women quartet contest that SAI has. So you have to be 25 or under in order to compete. And there's some regions that have their own like regional version, but it's not actually connected to the international version. You don't have to like qualify at a regional Rising Star in order to compete at international Rising Star or anything. You just kind of register. But I'm not sure when it was started, but Tessa and I competed in it when we were both in high school a few different times, in like a few different iterations of a quartet, with me singing at least a couple of different voice parts. And we won like our regional Rising Star a couple of times, but we were, I don't know, in the teens at least at like international Rising Star. But we always had a really great time because we got to watch groups like Heavenly and GQ, like these young women who were like in college basically, just be really great at barbershop and get to like look up to them and stuff. And so even though we were in high school coming in 15th after we worked our butts off and like kind of disappointed, we were like, wow, we get to be them one day, which is very cool because in what was our first one? 2017, we ended up 4th place with Hot Pursuit, which was miles above anywhere Tessa and I had ever placed before, and Michaela and Condra had never competed in Rising Star before, so that was 4th place was their first time out. And I mean, we were competing against all of our friends, so like even though like Rising Star used to be I don't know, mostly like high school barbershoppers who their like teachers got them into it, I guess, but who weren't like actually super involved in a barbershop organization yet, minus like GQ and Heavenly, and usually like the top 2 were groups that were super involved in barbershop as well as competing in the competition. But when Hot Pursuit started competing, it was all of our friends. So when we got 4th in 2017, it was really cool because all our friends were in the like top 5, top 10, and the following year was our last year to compete because Condra turned 26 like 8 days after we won Rising Star that year, and we would have been ineligible the following year. But yeah, it was really incredible to like get to win around all of our friends and then kind of come back the next year and help the other young barbershoppers like understand how to stand in front of the microphone and all that stuff. Rising Star is very cool.
Yeah, it sounds super awesome. I have only had your experience relayed to me, but I mean, winning contests is awesome, right? It's a great feeling. And then you get to do that ramp after the winning of the contest where the quartet like wants to work really hard, but you don't have to work as hard to get people to work hard because you have this this championship. And so like you're kind of like there's this kind of like period. This is how it's been described to me where it's like you kind of just have this really fast growth period as a quartet after you just have this like expectation in yourself just with your peer group to like rise to, and so like there's like natural like just fire burning extra to like, meet the expectations.
Yeah, we definitely have that. Hot Pursuit kind of goes back and forth between being like really excited about competition and then like I hate competing. I just want to learn music and have shows. And sometimes it lines up with what we're doing and sometimes it does not. So I remember specifically that year of Rising Star being very much like leading up to it, even though we were enjoying like working on stuff, we were like, I want this competition to be over so we can just work on new music and stuff. And then the fall after that or the spring after that or whatever, we would flip. It would be like, wow, we had so much fun working on the music. I want to compete again. We just flip back and forth a lot.
That sounds healthy. Are you excited about singing in the Barbershop Harmony Society's contests?
Yeah, we are. We haven't talked about like whether we will do that for sure in Charlotte, but it's definitely a possibility. We had kind of talked about it like pre-COVID. We were thinking about maybe competing in a BHS like district contest in whatever the fall was that we would have done that. I guess that would have been last year, but yeah, we talked about it. We hadn't made any like specific plans, which I guess is good since they would have become not plans at that point.
Well, we look forward to having you, and yeah, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be just like this crazy new world. Starting like when we all get back together and we have the mixed and women's competition just like folded into the thing. I think it's going to be spectacular, honestly, and I look forward to seeing yourself there. And I guess what I'm trying to do here is maybe talk for the benefit of people who do the programming at festivals about how we can make the best festival experience for everyone. And I guess maybe a good way to get into that with you would be to say, if you could speak to your best experiences through competition and a cappella festivals, what would be the aspects that you would like cherry pick to make like your favorite festival experience?
Oh, well, my as much as I enjoy competing, my favorite part of festivals and competitions, whether it be barbershop or a cappella outside of barbershop, is always the like camaraderie between the competitors. Like, I mean, I'm thinking back to even when my college choir like competed in this Ave Verum choral competition in Baden, Austria. Like, my favorite part of that week was just getting to hang out with all the choirs from like all over the world. They had like a welcoming party at the beginning and then some other kind of party at the end, and the best part is getting to know the people you're competing against and just like talking about like how much we all love singing and getting to know them. And I think that's a similar thing with barbershop. I mean, we always say like come for the music and stay for the friends or some version of that sentence, and I think that's true, especially for like young people who are just getting into it, because like singing is what will get them there, but people especially in like middle school, high school, college, but all people just like want to find a place to like belong and feel like they're a part of a family and a group. So for me, like at Harmony Explosion camps and festivals and competitions, like if I'm participating or if I'm running it or faculty in some manner, like we always try to build in ways for kids to get to meet each other or sing tags or hang out or learn something about each other or just watch barbershop videos. Like, even though we're going to have this like quickly put together show at the end of the week, that's just, that's never the main goal. is never like we have to polish these 3 songs as much as we can over the next few days or else our whole purpose has failed. It's always like let's make sure that when kids look back on this like camp or this festival or this competition, that they have like an overall positive feeling, or they have new barbershop friends on social media, or that they can look back at this and go, wow, that was so much fun, I would like to come back to some other barbershop thing in the future. I think that's always the goal for that kind of thing.
So growing the connections in between the ensembles would be like your
big time
measure of how successful a festival was.
Absolutely, 100%.
Nice. And what about a Harmony University experience? Would there be any things that you would desire that you might have not been able to access through Harmony University? Not like how would you change it if you were king of Harmony University, but like what have been your favorite parts of teaching barbershop that you would like to highlight and cherry pick to an experience?
My favorite Harmony University was probably 2012 or 2013 when it was still in St. Joseph. And I don't know. I would say a similar thing, and I'm not sure this is something that like BHS or HU dean could really like regulate, but it's like it was definitely because of the people and the like friends I made there and the amount of like socializing time, I guess, that was built in. I do think and maybe this isn't necessarily an HU thing because HU has so much going on, like so much to offer all the time. Like they have so many different options, and if you want to go to this thing then you can, or if you want to go hang out with your friends then you can. Like HU is very like choose your own adventure, I think, which is definitely a plus to me. I think the mistake that some barbershop education events make is planning too much education and not enough time for people to just hang out and sing tags, or not encouraging that enough to the point that like there's so much education that people like immediately have to go to bed because they're like so like brain dead from everything they absorbed, and they have to get up early the next morning to absorb more, that kind of thing. Like I said, I'm not sure HE really falls in that category, so you can pretty much do whatever you want and still learn a lot and have a great time. But I think that's something that like people who are planning like barbershop education events should look out for in your scheduling, because I've also been a part of the scheduling of those kinds of events and have run into a similar problem.
So it's easy to maybe pile on too much on your plate, perhaps, is maybe a pitfall?
Yeah, I think so. Just got to remember the reason people are there is to learn, but also they want to see their friends. Which is why like the Zoom version of all that stuff is really tough.
Oh, God. We're coming out of it. We're coming out of it.
We're coming out of it.
We are coming out of it. We are going to be back in the show. We're going to be back to human interaction and hanging around and singing tags and grabbing a beer or an ice cream, and that is going to be so gratifying like nothing ever. I mean, it's
it
going to be
is
so
just
good.
Not a moment too soon. I received some requests to teach some like Zoom stuff online this summer, and I was like, I love teaching, but not this way. I'm not doing that.
So challenging. My gosh.
Yeah.
Ugh. But yeah, it's gonna be back because there's just not enough in person. There's a long list of awesome things that happen when you're in person, and we're gonna have them. We're gonna have them back. Yeah. So
we are gonna have them back.
What else to talk about? Got any cool ideas for making the world better?
Only a million.
Tell me about the ones you thought about today.
Actually today I was going back and looking at I got a notification on TikTok, so I was going back and looking at my like RCMS NAMI benefit concert videos, because I don't know, that was a really great experience for the kids, and I personally, through doing all my like research about mental illness and stuff, and like the policies that are actually keeping people from getting the things that they really need, like I learned a lot throughout all of like making all of those videos, and honestly, like the more that I researched, the more it just made me really mad, because I was like, these are things we can fix. How can this still be so broken? And so I don't know. I've been looking into like maybe I can get into like volunteering with NAMI in some way, or not even just mental illness, some other like social justice organizations, because mental illness like affects different races disproportionately, and that was another thing that I wanted to see if I can help fix in some way. So I've been looking at that kind of thing, but I think
so you're into like mental health equity.
Yeah, I would say equity in general, but specifically now that I know a lot about it, mental health equity.
Mental health is it's a big part of enjoying life.
Yeah,
we need this.
I think we'll probably continue to do a benefit concert like that in the future. And maybe we need to think about whether we'll benefit different organizations or whatever, but I don't know. NAMI is just doing so much great work, and my students are really into raising money for the organization, and I really think we're probably gonna keep doing this year by year, which was like not originally built into my like brain course calendar, but I think it just needs to be. It's
what do you want to do
important.
different next year that you didn't quite hit this year? How can it be improved?
Well, aside from, we would like to be singing in person. That would be great.
Of course.
Yeah, well, I think the social media thing was really useful. I would love for all the advertising and like social media campaign marketing type stuff to be more student led, because the only reason it was all me this year was because I was on a team of 10-ish with students, and somehow this is not probably every group of 10 students and one teacher. Somehow out of all of us, I was the one who was the most active on social media. So the other kids that I was working with did not use TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. Like, none of them did, which is the only reason that it ended up being me. But I would love for
these are humans on planet Earth, like young people in America?
Young people on planet Earth. The thing is, I could go on and on about the students in this set. I ended up with the most incredible student enrichment team. Like, they have so many like very specific interests that don't have to do with social media, and we're like working towards like benefiting the world in like various ways through like other student organizations, like student government and stuff like that at the school. They're incredible. So it's very funny to me that I was like, well, I guess I'll do all the TikToks since that's not your thing.
I can hear
yeah!
You absolutely love teaching. These kids they're doing the thing that you are wired for. That's so cool.
Yeah, they're just so great. I feel like my cup runneth over with incredible students this year. I'm just thrilled. I can't wait to come back and teach them in person in the fall.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you. Yeah, these kids are benefiting, I think, from a look at mental health, because I think we kind of gloss over it a little bit, where it's sort of like just maybe people throw like happiness is a choice at you, or like maybe they're like toxically positive at you, and it can be very, how do I say this vulnerably, when I watch Mr. Rogers, I cry, because he is so kind to the vulnerable person inside of each of us, and talking to us about what it means to feel things. It's kind of a weird, touchy-feely subject to engage with people on, but it's really important, because like the story you tell yourself, to use John Newell's words, is how you like operate day to day. Like what you believe about yourself and the story you tell yourself is what is true to you.
Yeah, definitely. Mental health is tough to talk about, because like various organizations, unfortunately including the like district that I work for, will like tell you that it's your responsibility, you know, like they'll be like, here's how you can meditate, or here's how you can go to yoga, or what you should try eating better or sleeping more or something. And like so much of what's affecting so many people's mental health is like systemic and institutional issues that they have no control over. Meanwhile, they're just being told by their employer to like fix it themselves, and it's just it's a huge mess. But I would love for for students to at least be aware of those issues, so that if they're feeling like their mental health isn't the best, they're not additionally blaming themselves for it when it's not their fault, and hopefully so that they can make some kind of difference or change in that field in the future, or at least, you know, if they end up in a position where they can have an opinion about it outwardly to somebody else, maybe they'll have an opinion that will affect some kind of change because we talked about it. I don't know. Who knows?
You're so right. You are so right. So many of the things that affect us are resultant from thinking about, or perhaps the lack of consideration of how systems affect us, and that very American notion of like personal responsibility is often just kind of where the boundary is for most American advice. Like, well, you can just deal with it, or like, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Maybe this will help.
Pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah, exactly, the bootstraps thing. But like, when in actuality, it's the holistic management that will really solve our issues, like the more broad view of things, which are really hard to get right, because we have a very entrenched notion of private property, personal responsibility, not my problem type of thinking in this country, which is admittedly not evil or wrong. It's just how we do it. I think, given my experience traveling internationally and speaking with people, and I should say that a lot of that is from barbershop. Thank you very much, barbershop. Traveling to Germany and Europe and stuff like that. I think we would do well to have a more zoomed out, broader view, and maybe apply a little more sympathy to mental illness problems that result from inequity. Totally.
Yeah.
My thing is transportation, and yours is teaching, which is awesome.
You know what? Making public transportation more readily available to more communities would probably positively affect a lot of people's mental health and also the environment. So
100%.
That's definitely on the list of systemic things that I can't fix that somebody should fix so
Yeah.
that everybody can, in general, be happier.
Us. We all fix it together. We do it. We're gonna do this together. Yeah.
I'm ready. Somebody tell me what to do. I needed to change. That's where I'm at after doing all this research over the last year. Somebody please tell me how to fix it.
Yeah, I hear that. 100%. Yeah. I think we all want a better world, and I think teachers, to your credit, are all basically operating on the premise that change is positive and we can move this thing forward. Societies can be better. There's always opportunity for growth and change, a growth mindset. And that is so beautiful. And thank you so much for keeping that light, because so much stuff like 2020, it's just like nonstop. It's just crazy bad stuff. Like just assailing. And we need music to protect us from that, and comedy.
Oh, that's true. We need music and we need comedy. Truly, what we all need to protect us from the world is just Bo Burnham. That's all we need.
Yeah, I haven't checked out that comedy special, but apparently it's pretty good.
Oh, boy. Are you in for a treat?
All right, I'll have to do that. Yeah, how do we bring him into the barbershop? Are these tunes arrangeable?
Maybe not. I'm in regardless.
Okay. Cool. Let's try it. We start with the tag, right? We start with the tag at the afterglow, and then it grows from there. Well, cool. This is good.
Make it happen.
Should we dovetail out of this podcast? What do you think? You got any? You have the ear of all 5 people who are listening to this podcast. So, is there anything you'd like to tell them?
5 people.
I know they're still here. Thank you so much, 5 people that are listening to this on Friday, June 18th.
5 people.
On planet Earth, and we
on planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean, we're also broadcasting to the aliens. If you want to speak to the aliens, that's cool too.
Oh, I would like to speak to the aliens. I hope that they understand English. I would like for the aliens to explain to me if they have socialized healthcare and how that's going. If so, how is it going and how did you make it successful?
I think the joke...
That's what I want the aliens to tell me.
The Futurama joke would probably be something along the lines of, we tried that, but then the regular people got too much power and it was too difficult to control them, so we took it back.
Ooh, okay.
That would be the real truth of the socialized healthcare, because it's a super sticky wicket, because it's definitely requires redrawing some power lines, and nobody wants to redraw power lines if they have power. So that's just part of it. And I think generational change, whenever I describe these types of issues to people that I love and care for in my family, or just anybody who's like really invested and professional in the political realms, or if they're at a certain point in life where they've got something that's working for them, they don't need change.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah.
They've this thing. Please do not mess this up, or not. Please, just we're not messing this up. This thing works. You don't fix what's not broken.
Right. I've had a similar conversation.
Yeah, not intergenerational change, but just generational change. Like, as time moves on, it's each generation's responsibility to affect the world how they want to see it, and that's kind of what's happening in barbershop right now.
That's definitely true. Actually, Hot Pursuit's had some conversations about how much, like, what's happening in various barbershop organizations, like, parallels what's kind of going on in the United States right now, or at least and some of the conversations that are going on are very similar. And it's tough.
It is
it's
so
tough because of the history of where barbershop comes from and like who's mostly been involved in barbershop from the start. It's tough, but I don't know. I think it's easy to get overwhelmed by that kind of a task, or by all the people that don't want change. But I am just, at the end of the day, I have to continue to be confident that like barbershop will just continue to grow and evolve and change, because there's enough people that love it, that want to see it succeed more than they want to stay entrenched in their own sometimes toxic values, I guess is how I want to put that. But I think there's enough people that just love barbershop enough that, like, we will continue to have the conversations that will evoke change that barbershop will continue. Because I think a lot of people's, like, grandiose fear is, like, if we make this change, barbershop will die, and that's a problem. I don't think that's something we're in danger of at this moment, even though we've seen a lot of membership decline. I don't think that's a thing that we're in immediate danger of.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit as a creative person, and it's this, that creation is destruction. Sometimes things need to be taken down before they can be built back up. And that's really scary, because if you're comfortable,
true.
you don't want to do that.
And it is scary.
Yeah, it's totally scary. These feelings are super valid.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm sure I'll get to a point in my life where I'm like, can we just not change anything? Because this has been working for me for a while. I hope
I never get to that point.
I don't know if it will, but I am empathetic to it, because we only have so much ability to be flexible, even the most flexible amongst us, even the people who love learning and change and like navigating the streams and eddies of social currents. It's a energy, you put energy into that. That's like, there's a swimming with that, and it can be difficult if you want, you just want that flavor that they discontinued. You just want that thing
right
that you used to have. And it's going away, and that's where the end of that pleasure center is, and you just, like, that light is fading. And I don't know how to describe these things very well, because I don't feel them. I feel excited about making the Barbershop Festival something more along the lines of something that the people who are going to provide youthful, fresh, new energy into are going to want to flock to.
Oh, me too, 100%. That's exactly where I'm at. I keep going, if I like talking to my students and knowing like where they are at and like the kind of discussions that we've had in class, like would I be excited about recommending joining a barbershop group to them? And so depending on the group, sometimes the answer is yes and sometimes it's no. And not because of the singing quality, just because of the like culture. That's a problem.
Yeah. Maybe time will just fix all of this. We just let the time pass, and I think that one of the mistakes that progressive people make often, and I'm definitely guilty of this myself, is just expecting change too fast.
Oh yeah, no, me too. And I've been thinking about that a lot recently, especially in terms of barbershop.
And I also know that, like, well, this is my privilege as a white cisgendered male, but I just don't want to lose the connection with all of those conservative thinkers in the society. I really cherish those connections, probably more than a lot of the people that are joining the society.
No, that's the thing I've been thinking about a lot too, because a lot of those people are.
So you
I
feel
would
similar.
Consider them good friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want them to stay, but I also want to continue to have productive conversations about how our opinions collide. And I think there's some people who are willing to have those conversations and some people who are not.
What do we do for the people who are not? Do for them? How do we be considerate and respectful to them? Because, like, as a corollary, I'm really into regenerative agriculture, because for my 12-month pan disease around the world, I learned about gardening, and I've learned a lot about how agriculture works in the United States, and there's clearly a systemic change that involves holistic management that's coming. But to be respectful of the people who have fed the world on an old model, it's not enough to just say you're wrong, you're bad, you're killing the earth, you're not paying attention to the soil, and so on.
Right.
Like, these people who built barbershop during the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, they have to be venerated somehow. I mean, even they might think differently. So can you speak to that point? Because I don't want to lose them.
I also don't want to lose them. I don't know. I'm a person who's very comfortable with, like, if I see one of my friends say something on social media that I don't agree with, I like to message them privately and talk to them about it more. I do that like semi often, but like I'm not really sure what else to do, because if I say here's this resource and here's how I think this connects and here's this resource that I think kind of proves the opposite point to the one that you believe, and if they still don't hear me, then I'm not really sure what to do past that. Besides, like, I'm always happy to talk about it. I just, like, if you're gonna leave barbershop because you disagree with something and you're wrong, then and you won't hear the other side of the argument, then I don't know what to do. But I want to keep you, but I want you to know more things, and I want to know more things. I want us all to know more things together.
Yeah. I think we all kind of have that too, because I think that the more conservative thinkers amongst us are also very concerned about losing something that they don't want to have. This is like a big part of human psychology, where it's like we're very concerned with losing what we have. Like,
Yeah.
we absolutely loathe that. That's been proven with experiments that I can't cite offhand, but this is like central pop psychology, like 101. There's like experiments where you give the cookie and you're like, do you guys want 2 cookies later, 1 cookies now? And there's like some formulation and the hypothesis that humans hate losing stuff is proven, and I think it's so true. I mean, I hate losing stuff that I had, especially if I donated my entire like just second half of my like life, and like all of my network is through barbershop, and just like I mean, I don't really know these people personally, but I know they are there, like who like barbershop has been like what they did for 30 years, and now they look at it and they're like, what is this thing that's happening? This is way too weird. Yeah, so I don't know, hug them. Just stop talking about them. Let's just hug.
I like that strategy. I'm in.
Stop talking and hug. Yeah, or maybe just stop talking and sing. Yeah. There's a lot to that. I mean, I'm 37. The big value pitch for me when I joined my college. When I was in college and I joined the Bellevue Northwest Sound, like all of the wives that were around were like, these guys are really good guys. And then like the guys were like, nobody's going to talk politics here. Everybody's just here to sing. And I was like, I don't know what that means, and that's great and whatever. I just want to sing too. But like now I'm older and I get it. Like I get why you want a safe space that doesn't involve like ideological posturing and pontificating and like endless philosophical debate, because that's part of human experience. But really, the choir just wants to sing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've always loved that about barbershops. The people who disagree on a lot of stuff, you can just get together and sing and tag. And
let's get that back on the banner. Let's just sing and hug. Any other ideas for making the world a better place, my friend?
Oh, not any that probably should be opening their can of worms. That didn't make any sense in the way that I said that.
Yeah, we got to keep those worms in the can sometime, for sure.
Keep those worms in the can.
Well, my friend, I feel like we're kind of wrapping towards the end of this podcast, and it's been so wonderful talking to you. And at the end of every podcast, I get this really cool opportunity to ask, what tag would you sing with me when we're back in person, and your pick?
Oh my god. Okay, well, do you know, this isn't its really correct name. Do you know Stars in the Sky?
Stars in the Sky? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's my favorite tag of all time, and as it turns out, a lot of people are aware of that because they told me that they would learn it for me. So I would love to sing that tag with you.
What is like because I've seen multiple takedowns of this tag, and I don't see any like, this is the official David Wright compendium, and this is
I have the correct one.
Oh, you do?
I'm not certain that there is one on Tagmaster. I have one that my father transcribed as the Easterners sang it, and I think the name at the top is spelled wrong, but the notes are right, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, Stars in the Sky tag is on. That's our when we get back together singing thing. I will try and be at the Labor Day thing. So
wow, please do that. It's going to be so much fun.
Are you getting excited for that?
Yes, I just want to be in a pool and drink and sing with my friends.
Yeah! Oh my gosh. And everyone's going to be there.
More than anything in the world. It's going to be so many people.
Should this episode be brought to you by the Labor Day thing?
This
What's it
is
called?
brought to you by It's called Labor Day Jamboree, but it's also called Lyndon B. Johnson. We call it LBJ sometimes because we're stupid. But yeah, it should be brought to you by Labor Day Johnson.
Cool. All right. Johnny's Labor Day celebration in Orlando, Florida.
Great.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Melody, for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me and letting me ramble about all my hopes and dreams.
Ramble on, baby. Ramble.
I'd like to thank my guest, Melody Hine. Her quartet, Hot Pursuit, will be performing at the Sunshine District Labor Day Jamboree in Orlando, Florida. Thank you for listening. This is Derek Wayne saying, keep the dream alive.